Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for an all new episode recap of today's Daysofourlives, March 20th, 2026. So lots to unpack here on today's cliffhanger episode, and we see first off Liam and Ari, as expected. They're hiding out at her dorm room because remember Holly moved us, so she's just soloing it out. So she's able to clean up his wound and bandage it and all of that. So he wants to get out of there because he's feeling like Klaus is maybe still after him, maybe some other goons attached to him is after him. And Ari said that she found out on the crime network or the app that Klaus is dead. So we now know that Klaus is deceased, but at the same time, who knows? He's a part of this mob or something like that. Maybe some more people connected to him. Maybe after Liam is still on edge. He still has to find somewhere to hide out because he tells Ari briefly that he took a job that was easy money, but he didn't know that this would come back to him or come back to haunt him. And now he has to find somewhere to hide out. And he doesn't know Ari that well. He doesn't want Ari involved in all this. But Ari's not listening. Ari still wants to help him in some way. Now, he doesn't tell Ari that he has a son and all that. I'm not saying, Liam is good to look at. He's good eye candy. But Ari, girl, this guy has so much going on with him, especially he has this rap sheet and he has this 5-year-old child. It's a lot of baggage to take on as a college student. But I guess she will be okay with that. She likes the bad guys, I guess. But yeah, that was really it. Tate did come in and she had to hide him somewhere. And yeah. Back at the police station, we already know that Jada and Belle are briefed on Sean's accident, or he's in the hospital. So thankfully he is, still breathing, still among the living. The bullet just grazed, I guess, his leg. It almost, could have entered the femoral artery. That's in the leg part, but it wasn't fatal. So they're just glad that he's going to make a good recovery, and they talk more about the case and how Sean was involved in it, and maybe Sean may have to answer because he did take a life, but again it was self-defense. And I'm just wondering, like, if EJ was the one that pulled the trigger, let's say he did it in self-defense, would they argue that same point, or would they try to try to target him and try to let him go down for a false charge because they don't like him like that? I wonder if that rule applies to people like him. That's my question when I'm thinking about this whole thing. But anyways, they said that it's self-defense. Belle couldn't work on it because, of course, there is a complication there. She was married to Sean, so it would look awkward for her to be working on that. So that case is passed off to the ADA. Now, she said that based on everything, Sean would not be prosecuted for that, but he still would have to do further investigation, check his weapon for ballistics and all that. Also, they're both fond of Sean because remember Jada had a fling with him back then, and Belle was his wife, so of course they're both worried about him, both care about him, are concerned about him. So they're just hoping that everything works out, and Belle doesn't want him to go down the wrong road and drink again, especially after what happened when he shot his father. And he had this drinking binge, and she doesn't want that to happen to him again. But Jada is also saying everybody on the force is going to look out for Sean and make sure that he is well taken care of, and that is a relief to Belle. They also talk about Liam and his connection and the guy who was deceased connection, and turns out he was working for Vivian and not Dimitri. But now Dimitri is held back in Alameda because they think that he has something to do with Vivian and Ivan's disappearance, and he is the likely suspect. Again, these people don't do their thorough investigation, but they're just going to roll with who they think should be suspected. Now, anyways, they also say Leo is back for medical attention, and that was really that. They get a call that Sean can, see visitors, so they both went ahead. Now, Rachel is at home with Tate. Tate is babysitting her. He was doing some exercise, and they were just talking amongst each other. At some point, Rachel gives Tate some vitamins because, again, remember, Sophia wanted Rachel to do her dirty bidding and just did it under the guise of, just being, nice to Holly and doing something that she would be interested in because she saw it on the social media app that she is into these skin supplements and she just wanted to do that. So she did that, and she told Tate is because, she has been visiting her at Bayview, and also she was helping her with her mat back then. So Tate is like, oh, interesting, thank you, I'm sure she'll like them. So he does talk to her about her her hearing coming up and how she's feeling about it, but she said that, she is nervous about it because she doesn't know how it may go, and she just misses her mom and all that. So he tells her that her mom is busy going over the case with Melinda, and Dad should be pulling up because he was busy helping the whole Stephanie case and all that, right? So Holly spoke with her Aunt Sarah and telling her about the appointment she had. She was at the OBGYN. They were able to give her a new birth control pill to use, and they also did some blood work to find out what's really going on with her. She's just really still upset that she's behaving erratically with her loved ones, Tate, Ari, and she and Ari had a fight, and now they're not roommates no more. So she just can't blame her for her being out of there, but at the same time she just doesn't understand why she's acting the way she is. And she's saying maybe it's just like how Xander was behaving during you guys' marriage, and Sarah's like, you are nothing compared to Xander has been struggling with these anger issues for years. You just figured out this thing. This is really new, and at the same time you're trying to figure out how to fix it. So at the end of the day, I'm proud of what you're doing. Xander has just figured out that he needs to get help with that. So she's saying, is it why you're just avoiding him because he's with Victoria now? Are you avoiding him because of that? So Sarah is saying that partly yes, and I also have patience, and it's better that way because every time we're in the same room, it's not even 5 minutes and we're still arguing amongst each other, and then there's just been so much damage in our marriage because she even asked her if there could be a reconciliation of the marriage since at least they're co-parenting, or he has more visitation rights now because she did revise the divorce agreement. So Sarah's like, I like how he is as a father, and I adore how he is with Victoria. Victoria loves him, but at the same time, I don't see myself down that road with him again. Like, the damage is done. So JJ is still in the room with Sean, and he dozed off, and he had flashbacks of the shootout and how it ended up hurting Sean in the process. So when he opened his eyes, Sean is awake, and Sean is furious with JJ because JJ had a clean shot to really get rid of Claude, and he wouldn't be injured in the process. Like, it was open for him to do that, but it ended up hitting him in the process, and JJ apologizes for that. He just was really deciphering whether or not he should take the shot or not because of previous encounters with Theo, and he's been going through these classes where he's learning how and when to use his weapon. So he apologized for his misjudgment. Now Sean also apologized because JJ was tired. He's been pulling all these shifts, and he's been on the Stephanie case, and he should have known better not to encourage JJ to come with him and go at the shootout, right? So he could have had other people to work with him, and JJ said he should have known better just to stay back as well. So Belle finally arrived at the hospital along with Jada, and Belle was talking to Sarah a little bit about Sean's condition. So thankfully, it just grazed his leg a bit. It didn't puncture any major arteries, so everything is okay. Should be on the mend. She did speak to Hope and Bo earlier and informed them that he didn't need to calm down. He's on the mend, and that there's plenty of people in Salem that will look after him. So it wasn't really major. Now back to Belle and her. Belle is saying how she's just relieved that Sean will be okay because regardless of them divorcing, she still cares about him. They are friendly, and Sarah's glad to hear that. Now she asked if she can go see him, if he can be up for visitors, and Sarah said Jada's in there now. Tate comes over to Ari's place, or what he thought was Ari and Holly's place, and he comes over and she was saying that Holly's not here, but he still insisted to come in. And I was just saying, I really hate when people just still don't get the memo that they don't need to enter, but yet still they still want to be entered into the room. No, I don't like that. But anyways, she opens up the door. She hides Liam at first, and she lets Tate in. So Tate comes in. He wants to give Holly some supplements, as well as just find out what's really going on with her. Now Ari also told him that Holly doesn't live there anymore. She's back at her house with Sarah and Maggie. We got into a huge fight, and there's just no point of reconciliation. So he's surprised to hear all of that. And she said that it is what it is at this point, because he's saying hopefully you guys can work it out. And she said she's not really sure that's going to happen. He did mention that there was a bloody bandage on the ground, and she made up a lie about how she was shaving and nicked herself and all that. So he dropped it. Now, she gave him the bags, the last of Holly's things, to give to her, because she doesn't want Holly to come over here. So Ari means business. She does not want to have anything to do with Holly at this point. Now, after Tate leaves, Liam comes out, and Liam said, I can't thank you enough for everything that you're doing. Jada comes in, and she is talking with Sean about the whole incident, and tells him that he'd probably just demoted to desk duty, or just leave, because he needs to recover, get back on his feet. And also that they'll be taking the weapon to dust for any residue and sent to ballistics. Also, they will be doing further investigation, even though the guy was shot in self-defense and he's deceased now. Now, the way how Jada was smiling with Sean after this, you could probably think maybe these two would get back together, but then again, she is a superior, so it would look away. But man, the way how they're smiling with each other, I wouldn't mind if it happened again, because I don't think her and Theo really have what it takes to be long lasting. But anyways, she tells him on a personal note that she's glad that he's okay. She was really worried, and she was praying for him. And he said, you said that already, but she just really wanted to say it again. And he was just smiling, goofing off with her as well. Let's see what happens with these two. Tate also ran into Holly, and he was going over to her place. He has the rest of her things in the car that Ari gave him, and she said, I'm guessing that she doesn't really want anything to do with me or seeing me again. So he said, I'm sorry to hear about what happened, and do you want to talk about it? So she said, not really. So he said, I'm going to miss you on the dorm. So she said, yeah, but I can still visit you. Now, he asked how the appointment went, and she said it went well, and she's on a new birth control pill. So he said, speaking of pills, I have some skin supplements from Rachel to give you, because she's been watching your app, but she just want to say that she's thankful for everything that you've done for her. So she's saying that's just weird that somebody would give pills to somebody else. So he said, but then again, it's Rachel, so he's not thinking anything of it at this point. So she said, yeah, these are very helpful. And he said probably he needs some because his skin is breaking out. And she said, not really, but I can give you that one. I still have a few left over. So let's see how this goes, because he did put it in his bag, and he's told her not to tell Rachel. And she said, okay, cool. Now, I forgot to mention earlier, Sophia and Rachel spoke a bit, and she told Sophia that she gave the pills over to Tate to give to Holly, and she's thankful for that. She also said that she is worried about his hearing, and Sophia gave her some sort of twisted pep talk about how she's resilient and she's slick and she knows how to get around, so she'll be good at her hearing. She will be fine. So, she tells Sophia that she will get out soon as well, and she said, yep, I definitely will. Don't like how this is going, but yeah, that is it for today, guys. Comment below your thoughts on today's episode. Let me know. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to my channel. I will see you guys next week. Have a wonderful weekend.